Before the soul was given shape, it was given light, a flame that no darkness could ever touch. Ibn Arabi said that within every heart lies a spark of the divine, hidden so deeply that even despair cannot reach it. This light does not depend on your deeds, your words, or your strength. It exists because He breathed it into you. The world can cloud it, pain can bury it, and time can make you forget it, but it never goes out. It waits, quietly, beneath every thought, untouched, patient, alive. When the heart turns away from the noise of the world and returns to silence, that secret light awakens, recognizing the one who placed it there. In that moment, you remember what the world tried to make you forget, that your soul was never broken, only covered. And beneath those coverings, something immortal still shines, whispering, asterisk, you were never lost. Deep within, every soul burns a spark that the winds of the world can never extinguish. Ibn Arabi spoke of it as the trace of the divine breath, the mark left by the command asterisk, be, asterisk, upon the fabric of creation. This spark is older than sorrow, older than form. It flickers quietly beneath your fears, untouched by your failures. When storms rise, it bends but does not break, for its fuel is not willpower, but remembrance, the unseen connection between the created and the Creator. This hidden spark is not found by striving, but by surrender. It reveals itself only when all lesser fires have burned out, when the ego's flames die, when the need to prove or to possess falls silent. What remains is pure light, the original trust placed in you by the real. The storms of the world only strip away what was never yours to keep, leaving behind the ember that cannot fade. The spark is not loud. It speaks through warmth, not fire. Its glow softens the heart rather than dazzling the eyes. Ibn Arabi said that divine light humbles before it transforms. It comes not as conquest, but as caress. It enters where noise cannot go, teaching that power is gentleness in its purest form. The storm cannot find it because it does not resist. It simply endures in stillness. In the nights of hardship, when faith feels thin and the soul trembles, that spark becomes your proof. You may not feel it, yet it feels you. Even when you forget the path, it remembers your origin. The heart, though clouded, never loses its flame entirely. It only hides it beneath the ashes of distraction. A single breath of sincerity can make it glow again. Every storm has a purpose. It shakes loose the dust that gathered around your light. The trials you call loss are the winds that uncover what was buried. Ibn Arabi wrote that tribulation is a divine conversation, the real, reminding his servant, asterisk, you still shine, even here. Asterisk, the storm does not come to destroy you. It comes to reveal what cannot be destroyed. This spark is not learned. It is inherited. You carried it from the unseen before you were born. It is the echo of your covenant the moment your soul said, asterisk, yes, my Lord. Asterisk, no sin, no grief, no distance can erase that agreement. The real placed it within you as a witness, so that even in forgetting Him, you would long to remember. When the world takes everything from you, the spark remains. Stripped of roles, wealth, and certainty, you meet what is most real. That meeting may come through tears or silence, but it comes. The more the world breaks around you, the more your inner light demands to be seen. You learn that faith was never fragile. It was the coverings around it that were. Ibn Arabi said that the true believer walks through storms, not by strength, but by transparency. He allows the winds to pass through him, for he knows they blow from the same source as peace. The hidden spark within him does not fear being extinguished, because it belongs to the one who kindled it. In letting go, he becomes indestructible. When remembrance becomes breath, the spark grows steady. It no longer flickers in reaction to circumstance. It burns evenly, quietly, as if fueled by eternity itself. The heart that hosts it becomes a lantern for the unseen, a small yet endless sun beneath the ribs. It does not seek to be noticed. Its purpose is to illuminate the path within. The secret of the spark is that it never belonged to you. It is on loan from the real His breath living inside your chest. You do not create it, you only guard it. When pride claims it as personal virtue, the light dims. When humility returns it to its source, it blazes again. Thus, protection lies in remembering whose light it is. The storms of the world serve a hidden mercy. They cleanse your perception of false lights. The glow of approval, the fire of ambition, these lights are temporary, destined to burn out. Only the divine spark endures, unaffected by the weather of emotion or the seasons of circumstance. Its constancy is the sign of its origin. There are moments when the storm feels endless, when even prayer seems unheard. Yet it is precisely then that the spark speaks most clearly. In the hollow of exhaustion, it whispers without sound. Asterisk, I am still here. Asterisk, that whisper is not from you. It is from the one who sustains you, reminding you that silence, too, is a form of guidance. The hidden spark thrives in the unseen places, in patience, in gratitude, in forgiveness unspoken. It does not announce itself with brilliance, but with endurance. Ibn Arabi said, "The soul's light is like a candle in a hidden shrine. Only those who enter quietly can see it. The outer world may roar, but the inner world remains untouched." This spark does not fear the dark. It teaches it. For what is darkness but the absence of recognition? When awareness returns, darkness itself becomes servant to the light. Every trial, every confusion, every shadow becomes a teacher, showing the contrast that makes your glow visible. The real uses even night to prove his radiance. To tend this spark, the heart must stay honest. False piety suffocates it. Truth feeds it. The real does not require perfection, only sincerity. One breath of remembrance spoken from the depth of humility gives the flame new life. It burns not through eloquence, but through truth. The simplest times, Ya Allah times, can turn despair into dawn. When the seeker matures, he no longer asks for storms to cease. He asks for the spark to remain visible through them. He understands that peace is not the absence of trial, but the recognition of light within it. The wind may howl, but the flame bends gracefully, never breaking, for it is fed by something the world cannot see. The hidden spark unites all things. It glows in every soul, whether awake or asleep to it. Ibn Arabi said that the same light that animates the stars breathes within you. To recognize it is to see the universe as kin, to feel the pulse of divine remembrance beating through all existence. The heart that knows this walks gently through the world. When the storm finally passes, you realize it was never the enemy. It was the hand that uncovered your light. You see that the spark never flickered out, only your awareness did. The real uses hardship not to test your strength, but to reintroduce you to the strength he placed in you before time began. As the soul ripens in remembrance, the spark expands until it fills your being. It ceases to be within you. You become within times it. Asterisk. Light becomes your language, patience, your prayer. You stop fearing loss because you see that what is eternal was never at risk. The world may change, but the real remains, glowing through you. And when your final breath arrives, the spark does not fade. It returns to the vast ocean of its origin, merging with the same light that once whispered you into being. What you called my soul was always his reflection. The storm ends, the dust settles, and only illumination remains, the hidden spark that survived them all. Beneath the surface of time, deeper than memory and older than breath, lies a light that has never known darkness. Ibn Arabi spoke of it as the pulse of eternity hidden within the folds of creation, the first light that witnessed the divine command. This light does not move with the ticking of hours or fade with age. It rests, undisturbed, beneath the layers of change, waiting for the heart that remembers to awaken it. The world ages, the body weakens, and memories decay, yet that light remains young. It is not bound by history. It is the substance of divine remembrance itself. Time may wrap it in dust, but the dust cannot enter it. When the seeker grows weary of searching outward, he turns inward, and there, beneath the ruins of his own forgetfulness, the light sleeps like dawn before sunrise. This sleeping light is not absence. It is mercy in disguise. It hides itself so that you may learn longing. For without longing, there would be no return. Ibn Arabi said that the soul's journey is not about discovery but remembrance. The light has never left, only your awareness has wandered. When the heart quiets, even for a moment, the veil begins to thin, and the ancient glow beneath time stirs again. Every soul is born with this hidden luminescence, a secret inheritance from the day of divine assembly. Before the world began, the real breathed this light into your being, not as decoration, but as identity. You are not a traveler seeking illumination. You are illumination seeking to remember itself. The layers of time only serve to deepen the contrast between forgetfulness and awakening. The world teaches you to measure light by its brightness, but this light does not shine at time's nose. Asterisk. It is awareness itself, the consciousness that existed before form. When you sit in silence and feel something vast beneath your thoughts, that is the echo of it. It is the presence beneath personality, the witness behind the watcher. It does not need to be seen, for it is what allows seeing. When pain enters your life, it shakes the dust of time loose. The real allows suffering not as punishment, but as remembrance. Each wound exposes a glimmer of the timeless within you. Ibn Arabi said that every heartbreak is a doorway back to the origin, for the cracks in your being are where the ancient light escapes. What you call loss is often light returning home. This light does not awaken through effort, but through surrender. You cannot force eternity to reveal itself. You can only make yourself transparent to it. The ego resists this, for it lives in time and fears dissolution. But when you stop clinging to identity, when you stop chasing moments, the eternal quietly begins to breathe through you again. It is not that you awaken the light. It is that the light awakens you. You are the dream, and it is the dreamer. When you remember it, everything changes. Not the world, but the way you see it. The same faces, the same trials, but now lit from within. You realize that every moment, even pain, was illuminated by this unseen presence all along. Time exists only to reveal what it cannot contain. The years pass to teach you that the real never moves. Every change, every decay, is a mirror of what remains unchanging beneath it. Ibn Arabi said that those who see through time no longer fear it. To them, death is not an ending, but the opening of the final layer, the last veil before pure light. This sleeping light is also the keeper of your purpose. It whispers through intuition, through the peace that comes after confusion. Whenever you have known truth without explanation, it was this light speaking. It communicates not in language, but in resonance, a vibration that reminds the soul of what it has always known. To live by this light is to step outside of the illusion of before and after. The seeker learns that beginnings and endings are faces of the same circle. The real hides his eternal presence in the rhythm of time, so that the heart may learn patience. What appears to delay you is only preparing you to see the light that was always there. When the soul begins to awaken, time slows. The rush of days softens into stillness, and every breath feels sacred. The seeker stops counting moments and starts witnessing eternity unfolding within them. This is what Ibn Arabi called the breath of the merciful, the pulse of divine compassion that sustains creation in every instant. The deeper the heart goes, the softer the world becomes. The layers of time begin to peel away, not because they vanish, but because they are seen for what they are. Veils of beauty, not barriers. The seeker realizes that each memory, each longing, each lifetime is a reflection of the same eternal light, refracted through countless experiences. When you look upon your life with this awareness, regret fades. Every mistake becomes part of the divine choreography of return. Even the detours were designed to bring you back to the center. The real wastes nothing. He folds time itself into your awakening. What you call delay is often divine precision moving unseen. The sleeping light awakens most fully in silence. Words belong to time. Silence belongs to eternity. When you stop explaining, the real begins revealing. In that quiet, your soul feels older than your name, older than history. You are not remembering something new, you are recognizing what has always watched from behind your eyes. As you draw closer to that recognition, fear dissolves. Fear belongs to what can change. Your light cannot. Death, loss, and distance lose their sting. For you now see them as passing shadows on the face of the sun. The real does not come and go, only your awareness moves through layers of recognition and forgetting. The seeker who lives in remembrance walks gently through time. He does not fight its current, for he knows its direction, always back to the source. His heart carries a secret stillness, and wherever he stands becomes sacred ground. The light within him no longer sleeps. It gazes through his eyes, blessing everything it sees. When you find that inner radiance, you begin to see it everywhere, in the trembling of leaves, in the breath between words, in the quiet after prayer. The universe stops being a place you move through. It becomes an unfolding of your own divine reflection. The real whispers through every moment, saying, asterisk, you were never apart from me, asterisk. And when the final veil of time is lifted, and you step beyond the rhythm of days, that sleeping light greets you like an old friend. It does not rise, it simply reveals that it was never gone. You were its reflection all along, journeying through shadows to rediscover the sun that has always been shining within. When the heart awakens to its ancient glow, it does not begin shining, it begins remembering. Ibn Arabi said the heart is a mirror that once reflected only the face of the real, until the dust of the world settled upon it. The awakening is not a new creation, it is the uncovering of what was always radiant. This glow does not arise through effort, for it has never slept. It only appears lost when we look away. The light of the heart is older than creation. It was kindled in the timeless realm, where spirits stood before the divine and said, yes, we hear and obey. Asterisk. Every moment since has been a journey back to that answer. When the heart awakens, it remembers its original promise, a pulse that has never stopped echoing in the unseen. This awakening begins quietly. It is not a firestorm of revelation, but the soft warmth of recognition. A tear without cause, a silence that feels full. These are its signs. The heart stirs beneath the noise of thought, feeling the touch of its eternal origin. The seeker realizes that this glow is not borrowed light, but the remembrance of being seen by the one who never forgets. When the heart begins to glow again, it does not reject the world, it illuminates it. The same pain that once wounded now becomes transparent, revealing mercy behind its form. Ibn Arabi wrote that the awakened heart does not escape the world, but sanctifies it. Every event becomes scripture, every breath a verse of divine teaching. The ancient glow of the heart carries no color, no form, no direction. It is the knowing that rests beneath all knowing, the subtle warmth that cannot be defined but can be felt. Time cannot age it, nor can sin extinguish it. Even when the heart is shattered by grief, the light seeps through the cracks, reshaping itself around the brokenness, never fading, only changing shape. To awaken is to return, not to learn. The intellect studies truth, but the heart remembers it. This remembrance is not thought, it is presence. Ibn Arabi said the real does not enter the heart through understanding but through unveiling. The mind interprets, the heart beholds. Its glow is not a concept but a state of being touched by the timeless. This glow does not compete with darkness, it transforms it. The night does not resist dawn, it becomes its backdrop. In the same way, the awakened heart sees shadow as the contrast that reveals light more clearly. The seeker stops fleeing hardship, for he begins to see every difficulty as a mirror, showing where love is still asleep. When the glow expands, the heart becomes vast. It no longer beats only for itself, but for all of existence. Ibn Arabi called this the station of unity, the point where the servant's compassion mirrors divine compassion. To such a heart, even the smallest leaf trembling in wind becomes a verse of remembrance, vibrating with the same rhythm of divine breath. The awakening of the heart is the resurrection of vision, not vision of the eyes, but of the inner sight that perceives meaning within form. The veil of separation thins, the real becomes visible in everything. You no longer pray to reach him, you see that every pulse, every atom, every moment has always been his response. As the heart glows, it softens. Its power lies not in command, but in surrender. The light that shines from humility is stronger than the fire of ego. It moves through life gently, healing without effort. The awakened heart does not force transformation, it invites it. Its stillness becomes the mirror through which others remember their own light. This glow awakens most fiercely in silence. When the tongue rests, the heart speaks. When thought ceases to grasp, understanding dawns. In stillness, the divine reflection becomes undisturbed, and the seeker realizes that his heart was never empty, only covered. The silence of such a heart hums with a presence that words could never contain. Ibn Arabi said the heart is the meeting place between the eternal and the temporal. It glows because it holds both. The divine breath moves through its chambers like wind through a reed, producing the song of existence. When the heart awakens, it no longer hears this melody. It is the melody, echoing the music of times. Kun fayakun asterisk, be, and it is. The ancient glow of the heart is the real's own gaze turned inward. You do not own it, you participate in it. It lights your path without claiming it, guiding without speaking. The more you forget yourself, the brighter it becomes. Self-awareness dims it, but self-erasure reveals it in its infinite simplicity. To live from this glow is to see all things as revelations. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. The mundane becomes sacred. A falling leaf, a fading sunset, a passing shadow, each becomes an ayah, a sign pointing back to the one light that never dims. The seeker no longer separates prayer from life, for all of life has become prayer. The awakened heart does not need assurance. It feels the real in every uncertainty. Faith ceases to be belief and becomes awareness. Even fear becomes a teacher, gently returning you to the remembrance that the one you fear losing is the one who sustains you. The glow steadies, peace deepens. Sometimes the heart dims again, not because it fails, but because it breathes. The ebb and flow of remembrance are part of its rhythm. Ibn Arabi said even the prophets experienced veiling and unveiling, so that longing might remain alive. The real hides himself not to punish, but to preserve love's hunger, which is the soul's movement toward him. When the heart's glow matures, it ceases to seek miracles. The miracle becomes endurance, gentleness, clarity. You stop chasing divine signs because you realize you are surrounded by them. You no longer need proof. You live as proof. The real reveals himself through your stillness, more than your striving. Every awakening leaves behind tenderness. The heart that glows remembers suffering not as pain, but as the soil where remembrance grew. Gratitude replaces regret. The seeker stops asking, "Why me?" and begins whispering, "Even this was you." In that acceptance, the heart becomes transparent enough for eternity to shine through. And when this glow completes its return, the heart rests. It does not burn out, it merges. What once felt like light within now dissolves into the greater light without. There is no my heart anymore, only the rhythm of the one who always loved, always guided, always waited beneath the dust of time for this awakening to unfold. When the night stretches endlessly and every prayer feels unanswered, there burns within you a fire that does not die. Ibn Arabi called it the silent flame of certainty, the warmth that endures when all light is gone. This fire does not consume, it sustains. It glows in hidden places, beneath the ruins of despair, beneath the ashes of exhaustion. Even when faith seems to flicker, it remains, whispering through the stillness. Asterisk, I am still here. Asterisk, this fire was not kindled by your effort, but by his breath. It was placed within you before your first cry, before time taught you to fear the dark. It is not the fire of passion or emotion, but of divine endurance, a flame that asks for no fuel. It does not rage, it waits. It waits for the moment when your will collapses, and only surrender remains. For surrender is the wind that makes it burn brighter. The night comes for every soul, the long night of silence, of distance, of unknowing. But Ibn Arabi said that darkness is only the cloak that hides the mercy of proximity. The real veils himself not to abandon, but to intensify longing. In that longing, the heart discovers a warmth that no despair can chill. The silent fire becomes the companion of solitude, the proof that even absence is guided by love. When everything you trusted fades, the silent fire reveals its true nature. It is not warmth that comforts, but awareness that endures. It teaches that the real's presence is not measured by feeling, but by faith. Even when unseen, he remains closer than breath. The fire's glow reminds you that illumination is not sight, it is recognition. This hidden fire feeds on patience. It grows not through expression, but through restraint. Each time you hold your silence instead of complaint, each time you choose trust instead of doubt, the flame deepens its hue. Ibn Arabi said that divine endurance is the most subtle form of worship, burning quietly without witness, shining without approval. You cannot summon this fire by force. You can only remove what smothers it. Pride, expectation, and despair are the ashes that dim its glow. To clear them away is to rediscover the flame beneath. It was never gone. It only waited for the heart to become transparent again. Every hardship you endure is the breath that fans it. In the silence of deep loss, this fire becomes your last companion. It is the warmth that does not speak but listens. The real hides himself within that stillness, testing not your strength but your remembrance. The seeker who holds to the silent fire learns that faith is not in what is seen but in what survives unseen. The fire outlives the night because it belongs to the dawn. It was born from light and only appears hidden when surrounded by shadow. Every trial, every delay, every ache is part of the long conversation between light and time. When the world says, "You are alone," the flame answers, "You are never apart." Ibn Arabi said that those who carry this fire become invisible to despair. The world cannot extinguish what the real himself protects. Their calm confuses the darkness, for it cannot comprehend a peace that needs no explanation. They walk through storms as if carrying dawn within their chests. The silent fire teaches endurance beyond reason. It does not fight the night, it simply outlasts it. To the heart that understands, the darkness becomes sacred, for it reveals what cannot be taken. The seeker stops asking for dawn and begins to see that dawn was burning inside him all along. When the fire matures, it begins to radiate outward. It warms others without trying, melts the frost of hopelessness in those nearby. It teaches without speaking, comforts without promising. This is the mercy of the silent glow it shares itself through presence alone. Its warmth becomes the language of the real, spoken through being. The one who carries this flame learns to trust stillness. He no longer rushes toward light or flees from night. He knows both are veils of the same reality. The night hides the flame so that the soul may learn humility. The day reveals it so that the heart may learn gratitude. In both, the fire remains unchanged. The fire's silence is its strength. Words are fragile. Light is eternal. It does not need to explain its existence. It simply times is. Asterisk. When all other lights fail, this one remains because it was never lit by the world. It is the proof of divine authorship, the sign that the real is nearer than despair dares to believe. In times of clarity, the fire glows softly. In times of trial, it burns fiercely. It adjusts to your need, not your request. Ibn Arabi said that the divine light within adapts itself to every condition, ensuring the servant never burns nor freezes. It is mercy made flame, proportioned perfectly to your capacity. This flame does not end when you forget it. It continues beneath your heedlessness, waiting for remembrance to return. Even in sin, it flickers unseen, for the real's mercy never withdraws. The seeker who falls into darkness may feel lost, but his light has never left him. It has only hidden itself to awaken longing. When patience becomes your prayer, the fire grows luminous. You begin to sense its warmth, even in the cold of isolation. You stop chasing comfort and begin cultivating quiet. The silence that once frightened you becomes the temple of endurance, where the unseen fire burns most clearly. Ibn Arabi said that every soul carries its own dawn. The night exists only to reveal how radiant the heart can become. When you stop fearing the dark, you begin to see the fire's reflection everywhere, in grief, in waiting, even in the pauses between prayers. The light that outlives the night is not above you, it is within you, older than the sky. As the seeker matures, he learns that the purpose of night is not to test the fire but to reveal its source. The soul begins to see that even the shadows serve the real. Every silence, every ache, every unanswered plea becomes a path leading back to the warmth that never wavered. The night was never an enemy, it was the womb of awakening. And when the final darkness comes, when the last breath leaves the body, that silent fire does not fade, it rises. Freed from the cage of form, it returns to its origin, merging with the eternal radiance from which it came. The seeker's final sight is not the end of light, but its completion. The realization that the flame and the dawn were always one. There flows through all of existence an unseen river, silent, eternal, and without beginning. Ibn Arabi said that this current is the breath of the real, moving through every form, every sound, every silence. It is not bound by direction, nor measured by distance. It passes through stone and sky alike, through hearts that remember and hearts that forget. To live is to float within it. To awaken is to realize you were never outside its flow. The unseen river is not made of water. It is made of awareness. It runs beneath every thought and gesture, beneath the rising of the sun and the trembling of leaves. You cannot see it, yet you feel its pull when peace enters for no reason, or when your tears fall without cause. That movement is the current reminding you that nothing is separate, that even stillness is part of its rhythm. This river was the first act of mercy. Before creation took shape, it was the tide that carried divine command into being. Asterisk, be, asterisk, said the real, and existence rippled into motion. Every wave since has been a continuation of that single utterance. Ibn Arabi called it the perpetual renewal, the ceaseless flow of creation through the river of divine will. Those who are awake can hear it without ears. Its sound is not in words, but in harmony, the heartbeat of every living thing. When your mind quiets, the river's murmur rises within. It does not demand belief. It invites recognition. It carries remembrance through silence, guiding you back to the source from which it flows. The unseen river asks for no path, for it has no end. It loops through the infinite, feeding oceans of time, dreams, and revelation. You may think you drift, but it is the current that carries you. Your striving is only the illusion of swimming. Your surrender is the realization that the current has always known where to take you. Ibn Arabi said that this flow is the real's mercy, clothed in movement. To resist it is to suffer. To flow with it is to know peace. The ego builds dams of fear and control, thinking it can shape destiny. But the river outlives all barriers. It erodes pride, softens anger, and transforms sorrow into depth. Even pain becomes water once it is released into its current. You cannot touch this river, yet it touches you constantly. Every breath is its tide entering and leaving your body. Every heartbeat is its pulse echoing through matter. When you are silent enough, you begin to feel that the same current flowing through stars flows through you. You are not beside creation, you are its continuation. The seeker learns that to walk the path is to learn to float. The river carries those who trust and drowns those who grasp. When you release the illusion of control, you find yourself moving effortlessly through what once felt impossible. This is not laziness, but alignment. The river rewards surrender with direction. The unseen river flows even through stillness. What you call waiting, it calls motion. Every delay, every pause, is a gentle eddy where wisdom gathers. Ibn Arabi said that time itself is this river slowed down for the sake of experience. What you live as moments are merely reflections dancing upon its surface. Sometimes the river floods, your life changes come suddenly, sweeping away your plans. But even this is mercy. The flood does not destroy, it purifies. It clears the channels of attachment, forcing the soul to remember that stability never lived in form. What remains after the flood is always truer, lighter, more transparent to the flow. To recognize this river is to see unity in diversity. You stop naming the waters. This is joy, this is grief, this is gain, this is loss. They are all the same stream, wearing different moods. The real expresses his oneness through motion, teaching you that the ocean and the tear are not separate, only scaled differently in the mirror of existence. The river's movement is worship. Every current bows as it passes. Every wave praises through motion. The stars revolve in its rhythm, and the heart beats in sync with its tide. You cannot step outside of it. Even disbelief rides its mercy. To awaken is to realize that every soul, willing or not, is carried by the same divine flow. This current is both giver and guide. It takes nothing that it does not replace with something truer. When you lose, it redirects. When you fall, it cushions. It speaks not in words, but in timing. Ibn Arabi said the true mystic stops questioning when and why, for he has learned to trust the river's intelligence more than his own. When you align with it, effort becomes ease. Work turns into worship. Movement becomes meditation. You no longer chase outcomes because you sense that the current has already reached them before you began. Your task is not to swim faster, but to stay awake as you float. The river flows through even those who deny it. It does not demand faith to function. Its compassion is so vast that it moves through rebellion as gently as through devotion. It bends itself around resistance until even defiance is carried home. Nothing escapes its eventual return to the source. Sometimes it carries you through darkness so deep that you doubt its existence. Yet even then, it moves beneath your despair, waiting for your surrender. The current never leaves you, it only hides to teach you depth. The seeker who learns to trust in blindness finds that even the dark glows faintly with direction. The river knows the secret roots beneath the surface of time. It connects destinies, aligns encounters, and arranges lessons long before you arrive. You do not meet by coincidence. You converge like streams guided by one invisible gravity. Ibn Arabi said, every meeting is a reflection of divine intention, every parting a preparation for return. To sit beside this river inwardly is to enter timelessness. You watch thoughts flow past like ripples, emotions rise and dissolve like foam. You realize that peace is not the absence of movement, but awareness of the one who moves through all. In that awareness, even chaos becomes rhythm. And when the body dissolves and the breath ceases, you do not fall into stillness. You merge with the current itself. Death is not drowning. It is immersion. The unseen river welcomes its traveler home, whispering the truth it carried all along. You were never apart from the flow. You were the flow made visible for a moment. There comes a moment when the soul finally recognizes its own reflection, not in the mirror of the world, but in the still water of divine remembrance. Ibn Arabi said that the soul spends lifetimes searching for what has never been apart from it. The reflection it chases across the surface of creation is only a sign pointing inward. When the heart grows quiet enough, when longing turns into surrender, the veil thins, and the soul beholds itself through the gaze of the real. This recognition is not seeing something new, but realizing that the one who looks and the one who is seen are the same. The seeker disappears in the act of seeing. What stands revealed is not a self improved or purified, but a self forgotten. In that forgetting, the real remembers himself through you. The reflection becomes the mirror, and the mirror becomes light. For so long, the soul searches outward, mistaking beauty for its source, mistaking form for meaning. It bends toward the stars, the beloved, the sacred text, everywhere but within. Yet each of those glimmers only reflects the same sun. Ibn Arabi said that when the soul turns inward, it meets the face that once said, "Am I not your Lord?" and recognizes the voice it has always obeyed. Recognition is not thunder, it is tenderness. It comes not with revelation, but with remembering. You realize that every ache of separation was only the real loving himself through distance. The mirror of creation was never meant to distract, but to teach reflection. You do not find God in things, you find the divine trace in your own awareness of them. This moment cannot be forced. It arrives when the heart has burned through all its illusions of control. The ego collapses under the weight of its own striving, and in the ashes, a strange peace emerges. You see that what you were chasing was chasing you. The reflection steps forward and whispers, "It was always me." When the soul recognizes itself, time stops. Past and future dissolve, for recognition belongs to the eternal present. You are no longer becoming, you simply are. This is what Ibn Arabi called the station of subsistence, the soul no longer existing by itself, but through the real. The water and its reflection merge into one unbroken radiance. In that awareness, life becomes a conversation between mirrors. Every encounter becomes a reflection of the one light playing with form. The beggar, the friend, the enemy, all are surfaces where the real reveals different shades of himself. The awakened soul does not judge the reflection, it recognizes the source in each. The more you gaze upon this reflection, the softer your heart becomes. You no longer see opposition, only complement. Pain becomes the shadow of mercy, silence the echo of speech. Ibn Arabi said the heart wide enough to hold both light and darkness is the true throne of the divine. Only in that vastness does reflection turn into illumination. This recognition is not arrogance, it is humility perfected. To see your reflection in the real is to see that you are nothing without him. The more you dissolve, the clearer he becomes. The reflection does not claim the sun, it bows to it. This is the secret of divine intimacy. Annihilation is not loss, but revelation. When the soul awakens to its reflection, prayer changes. It ceases to be a reaching and becomes a resonance. You no longer call out across distance. you respond from within. Every word you utter returns immediately, for it was never leaving, only circling back to its source. You are both the supplicant and the answer. In this state, even silence becomes worship. The soul, now aware of its reflection, realizes that every movement, every breath, every thought is already part of the endless dhikr. There is no need to strive for closeness. The closeness is inherent. The river of remembrance flows through your veins, and the current itself is praise. Sometimes, however, the reflection fades again, not because it is gone, but because you blink. The real veils himself out of love, to keep the heart in motion. If vision were constant, longing would die. Ibn Arabi said that the dance of unveiling and veiling sustains creation, for love must oscillate to remain alive. When the reflection returns after veiling, it feels even more profound. You begin to see that the distance was part of the recognition, not a break in it. The soul learns that absence, too, reflects presence. The shadow is another face of light, painted by the same sun it hides. The mirror of the heart must be polished continually. Ego tarnishes it, fear clouds it, desire fractures it. Yet even a cracked mirror reflects truth when light strikes it. The real uses even your flaws to reveal himself, for nothing in existence stands outside his radiance. You are not purified to become worthy. You are purified to remember you already were. The soul that recognizes itself ceases to fight with destiny. It flows with the real's decree, like water flows downhill, effortless, graceful, inevitable. It does not ask for ease or clarity, only for presence. The current of divine will becomes its home, and the reflection it once sought becomes the world it walks through. Every relationship changes under this light. You no longer see others as separate entities, but as verses of the same revelation. Their joy becomes your joy, their pain, your purification. You love not out of need, but recognition. Ibn Arabi called this the love of unity, when the heart bows to the divine in every reflection. In moments of sorrow, the reflection steadies you. You remember that what suffers is only the surface, not the essence. The deeper self remains untouched, luminous, eternal. You weep, but the tears glisten with remembrance. The pain becomes prayer, and the prayer becomes clarity. When the soul fully recognizes itself, it stops seeking to arrive. Arrival is an illusion of distance. There was never anywhere else to be. The traveler, the road, and the destination collapse into one awareness. The real has always been the one walking, the one guiding, and the one being found. And when this recognition becomes complete, even the word reflection dissolves. There is no mirror, no image, no division, only light, recognizing light. The soul rests in the endless gaze of the real, not as observer or observed, but as the radiance itself. What began as a search ends in stillness, where only one remains, eternally beholding himself through the mystery of you. There comes a moment when the soul stands in stillness so deep that even time forgets to move. In that stillness, a whisper arises, not from the past, not from the future, but from the infinite present. It says, asterisk, you were never gone. Asterisk. Ibn Arabi called this the unveiling of eternity, the recognition that the real has been with you in every breath, every silence, every moment you thought you were lost. What you took for absence was his most intimate form of nearness. Eternity does not speak in sound, but in awareness. It unveils itself in the space between thoughts, in the pause between heartbeats, in the stillness between breaths. You realize that the journey was never forward or backward, it was inward. Every step you thought you took toward him was his step within you. The seeker disappears, and what remains is presence. When eternity whispers, it does not remind, it reveals. It shows that what you called life and death were movements of a single ocean. You were the wave, believing it was separate from the sea, fearing the moment it would fall. But now you see, the fall is the return, and the return is continuation. There was never an end, only merging. The whisper of eternity is not loud because truth needs no volume. It is felt, not heard. It arrives softly, the way dawn enters a dark room, filling without disturbing. Ibn Arabi said, "The divine hides in gentleness, because only silence can carry infinity." When the heart grows quiet enough to hear, it realizes the real never departed. It was your attention that wandered. In that recognition, grief begins to melt. All the moments you mourned as loss reveal themselves as transformations of the same presence. Even separation was a form of union in disguise. The soul learns that every goodbye was God returning through another doorway, every silence another verse of remembrance. Nothing was wasted, nothing was gone. Eternity does not erase time, it redeems it. Every memory becomes sacred once the veil of distance is lifted. The joys you thought had ended, the prayers you thought unanswered, the love you thought unreturned, all still exist, vibrating quietly in the eternal now. The real does not discard moments. He gathers them into himself. The awakened soul begins to see that even waiting was a form of arrival. Every delay was mercy stretching your heart wider to receive. Ibn Arabi said that longing itself is proof of the beloved's nearness, for none can yearn for what is absent. The whisper, asterisk, you were never gone, asterisk, becomes the echo behind every desire. This whisper carries no words of command, only invitation. It does not say, come back, because you never left. It says, see that the same light that ignited the stars glows behind your eyes. See that the same rhythm that moves the galaxies beats in your chest. You are not in creation, you are within the breath of the Creator. When eternity reveals itself, the soul stops arguing with destiny. What once seemed random now forms a perfect pattern. You realize that even confusion was choreography. The mistakes, the detours, the tears, all threads woven by a wisdom too vast for the mind to grasp. You bow, not from duty, but from awe. The whisper of eternity carries compassion too immense for words. It forgives without condition because it never accused. It does not say you are forgiven, but there was never guilt to begin with. The real's mercy does not erase sin. It shows that what you called sin was simply the forgetfulness of your own light. To live in the awareness of this whisper is to move without fear. You stop guarding yourself against the future or grieving the past. You live as water flows without resistance, without hesitation. Every event becomes an opportunity to remember that the ocean never punishes its waves. It carries them. Ibn Arabi said the heart that hears eternity becomes the meeting place of all opposites. Joy and sorrow, gain and loss, life and death, each bows before the same truth. The heart no longer divides experience into good or bad. It simply sees divine expression taking different shapes. In this unity, peace becomes unbreakable. The whisper also transforms how you see others. Every face becomes familiar, every stranger a reflection of the same infinite gaze. You stop seeking love as something external, for you now see that the beloved has always been speaking to himself through countless forms. To love anyone is to love the real in disguise. When eternity speaks through the heart, prayer becomes pure gratitude. You no longer plead for what already surrounds you, you simply thank. Even your pain becomes an offering, even your silence an act of worship. You begin to see that every breath, willing or unwilling, praises the one who gives it. The whisper fades, and the world grows loud again. Yet even in the noise, it lingers beneath, like a hidden hum beneath chaos. You realize you can never truly lose it, for it is not outside you, it is your essence. Even forgetfulness becomes another way the real remembers himself through you. The soul that has heard eternity cannot unhear it. It carries the stillness of that recognition wherever it goes. Cities may roar, days may blur, but within, the timeless river flows undisturbed. The seeker becomes the space through which presence breathes, the silence through which eternity continues whispering. This awareness changes your relationship with death. You stop seeing it as departure and begin to see it as unveiling. The whisper prepares you for that transition by teaching you that the real does not end. He only reveals himself in another form. Death, too, becomes a bridge of return to what never left. As the soul deepens in this recognition, its need for answers dissolves. Mystery no longer frightens, it comforts. You no longer need to know the purpose of every moment. You trust the rhythm of infinity moving through them. The whisper has become the compass, the assurance that every path leads home. When the veil finally lifts completely, and you stand in the presence beyond thought, there is no sound, no question, no seeking, only awareness, vast and luminous. You realize that eternity was not something to reach, but something to awaken to. The whisper becomes a smile within the silence, saying once more, asterisk, you were never gone. And so the journey ends where it began, in the embrace of the one who never departed. The seeker, the search, and the sought dissolve into one endless act of recognition. Time bows to timelessness, and the soul rests in the truth that has always been waiting to be heard. The real does not come and go. He simply is, and so are you, forever. When all questions fall silent, and the heart no longer reaches outward, eternity leans close and breathes a truth older than time. You realize that you were never lost in the turning of days. You were only being taught to see through them. What you called a journey was remembrance unfolding, and what you called delay was love refining its mirror. Every silence, every ache, every moment of wonder was eternity speaking in disguise, whispering through the folds of creation that separation never truly existed. To awaken is not to arrive at God, but to recognize that you have never stood apart from Him. The breath that sustains you, the light that fills your eyes, the stillness beneath your thoughts, all are threads of the same divine fabric. When the veil of perception lifts, even slightly, you feel the universe exhale through you. The stars, the winds, the shadows, all echo the same secret rhythm. Asterisk. He was, He is, and He remains within you. Asterisk. And so, the seeker's long road dissolves into one endless circle of remembrance. There is no leaving, no returning, only seeing more clearly what has always been. The real does not move closer when you pray, nor further when you forget. His presence does not depend on your awareness. Your awareness depends on His presence. You were never walking toward the light. You were walking within it all along. When eternity whispers, it does not promise paradise in another world. It reveals paradise hidden within this one, a peace untouched by circumstance, a knowing untouched by time. And as the heart finally rests, it hears the same voice that spoke before creation began, the voice that still hums in every pulse of existence, saying gently, "Beloved soul, you were never gone, only dreaming you were apart."